What's good, fam? It's your boy Luckystickz.
And I'm Jordyn.
And you're listening to the Let Me Find Out How You Found Out podcast. This is a conversation between like minds and kinfolk, talking about relationships, social issues, and fam, we know it's hard out there, so we're just going to be talking about life, keeping it real, raw, and honest. You ready, Jordyn?
But of course.
Let's go.
Well, what's good in the hood? Are we live? Is this?
I think we're live.
Is this like? Is this real life? My goodness, my gosh. Well, hi everyone.
Hi.
Wow, pop, wow, go on. Long time no see.
Been a bit.
Yeah. Welcome to Let Me Find Out How You Found Out, the podcast where curiosity leads and discoveries follow. I'm Luckystickz.
I'm Jordyn.
Yeah, and we're back. Listen.
Is it?
We are not gonna pretend like the last time you heard from us was not May 2021. And we didn't even
Imagine.
imagine. And we never even say nothing. We never even say like bye for now. See you later, whatever. We just disappeared. And
Sorry.
by golly, sorry. And by golly, like it's 2024. Wow.
Mad.
Wow, where did the time go? So we are back. Literally just had the inspiration to, and you know what? There was this feeling, Jordyn, that, by leaving, right? It wasn't even like a leaving. It was just by not doing it, like nobody was asking for this. But in reality, that's not true. People were asking about it. Like they were like, "Yo, what happened? What happened to the podcast?
Right.
When you guys gonna do the podcast again?" And it's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay,"
Yeah.
And it just did not. At the moment, it felt like too much. Life started lifing again. The pandemic, stuff that started opening back up again,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then things just in terms of priority wise.
Yeah.
The podcast was like, bro, like, listen.
Yeah.
So we are now back with a new year, new episode. This is what's going to be different this year. So what we're doing this year is we used to do an episode every single week, right? Which was ambitious. I like to go all in and like to go, hard or go home. However, what we are doing this year is we will be releasing these episodes bi-weekly, right? Every 2 weeks, which is good because it also gives people the opportunity to, digest as well as, be able to keep up because there's so much content out there. There's so much to consume. There's so much great information and so many people doing amazing work in this space and other spaces. So this is just one of the plethora of content that people can consume, that our listeners can consume. And hopefully that is better for everybody, right? Because we know that these are not necessarily always bite-sized. Like they're a little bit more of like you put them on in the background, you're doing your thing, you're cleaning, you're driving, you're doing whatever, and you're playing your favorite podcast in the background. So your favorite podcast is back. And we are only going to be releasing 2 episodes a month, which is good so that it's not an overload of information or content to consume. Right?
Yeah.
Sounds good. This year we also, we wanted to create like an actual community and name for our community. So if you are a listener, whether you are a new listener or you are a former listener, we want to invite you into the Insight Fam. And what's the Insight Fam? The Insight Fam is just a name that captures the essence of community. This is a community that is engaged in uncovering and understanding new information and perspectives. So, Insight Fam, thank you for sticking around. For those that have waited on us, thank you for your patience. And for those who are new to the podcast, to the family. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's kick off episode number 1 of 2024 of season 3 is what we'll call this. And today's special New Year episode is all about setting and achieving those personal milestones. Ready to find out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
So, as we kick off, let's talk about why setting goals is so crucial in the first place. Like, I mean, it's more than just a New Year's resolution, right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I think we're all at the point now where we're like, okay, I think resolutions are played out. I think they don't work. We've lived enough New Year's to know, okay, I'm not gonna break a bunch of promises to myself. So I feel like we're now at the point too where some of the milestones are coming up on us, even if we're not working towards them.
Right.
So what are some of the ways that we can kind of, nail things down so that we don't get lost or drift in the year as as things happen, as things pass. So, I think we talk about SMART goals. Maybe we could talk a little bit about SMART goals.
Yeah. So when we're talking about setting goals, we often hear about, people talking about, different methods and different ways and different things that they're going to do to pop off the year. SMART goals is one of those. Let's break that down for the Insight fam. What does SMART goals even mean as opposed to dumb goals?
Right. I think that's actually good. That's a good contrast to think about. I think I don't like dumb, but maybe like less wise goals are like goals that you just kind of like, there's a difference between a goal and a dream, right? I think sometimes when you're like, okay, I'm going to lose 50 pounds, I'm going to I'm going to do these, or I'm going to travel more, I'm going to be a better person. Those are all very broad and very loose and hard to, it's a big elephant, right? So I think what SMART goals do is help us break down and cut up the elephant. So SMART is an acronym, stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So as you can see, that's a lot different than like, I'm going to lose 50 pounds, or I'm going to travel more, or I'm going to be a better person.
So starting with the S in that, what does the S mean again?
Yeah, so the S is specific. So the specific goal, really, you want to get laser focused on exactly what it is that you're trying to accomplish, right? So instead of saying, I want to be healthier, a specific goal, I'll use me as an example, is I'm going to have a rigorous Pilates practice on a daily basis. Every day I'm going to do Pilates.
Right.
And my goal isn't to lose weight. My goal is to feel better in my body. And I'm going to do that by doing Pilates every single day. So it's clearer, it's more tangible, and it's easier to hold on to. And it's easier to measure, which brings us to our second piece, whereby it's easy to measure if you have or have not done the Pilates that you promised that you were going to do, right? You can see. And then at the end of the month, once you've seen all those check marks, you can see, okay, I did my Pilates every day. So you're not necessarily pursuing the weight loss, you're pursuing the consistency of doing the Pilates, and that can be measured.
Right.
Not to say that you can't measure weight loss, but it's less about, brother Dr. Myron Golden, I don't know if he's a doctor, but he's very wise. But he talks about inputs and outputs. So focusing on your inputs and focusing on your outputs more than just focusing on the goals itself. So it's just like, okay, you've put in 31 days of Pilates and mindful eating. Well, then the output is what the output is, but you did your part when it comes to the input, right?
Right.
So being able to measure it is really helpful too, to see whether or not you're actually inputting what you think you're inputting. It's easy to trick ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then we have the A, which stands for achievable, right? So setting those realistic goals, right? It's like it's so good to challenge ourselves, but our goal needs to be attainable, right? Not putting ourselves up or setting ourselves up for disappointments, but saying, okay,
Right.
how are we actually going to be able to attain our goal that we've set for ourselves? So I know a lot of us into the new year, we're always about, many of us are usually about, okay, we want to lose some weight this year, right? Or we want to save some money this year for whatever, a down payment on a house or whatever the case is, right?
Mm.
But how do we make sure that those goals are achievable and attainable so that you don't become discouraged, right, on your destination and on the journey towards whatever that goal is? Because that's one of the biggest things when you're like, okay, I'm going to the gym and I'm going to the gym every single day and I'm gonna intermittent fast and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and you just pile on so many different things, and it just becomes crazy. You're like, okay, this is too much, right? And then you fall off within month 2, month 3, and you're like, yeah, it's because maybe you were specific, maybe you had ways of measuring the goals, but the goal just wasn't achievable or attainable. It was a little too big, right? And I believe in having God-sized goals where they're just huge goals for like the future. But I also believe in having some bite-sized goals so that, you feel a little bit more capable of achieving them. And then those small nuggets of achieving these goals helps to push you towards saying, yo, I can actually do this because I did it already. Like, I have evidence, I have social proof of me achieving, what I said I was going to do. So therefore, I believe now that I can continue to keep achieving more.
It's momentum, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's like a lot of power in momentum. So much power actually in momentum. Sometimes it's a matter of saying, okay, I'm gonna come to the mat, or I'm gonna come to my pen and I'm gonna write 20 words.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the achievable goal that might lead to you writing those 200 words a day.
Mm-hmm.
But just getting there to do something, not shooting low, but shooting, period, I think is sometimes just the seed that we need to move things forward.
Right. And then relevant. Relevant
Yeah.
is the R in the acronym of SMART. I think this is a key one, right?
Yeah,
Your
talk
goals
about it,
need to matter to you, and that they should align with your values and fit into the larger life plan. So if you just have a random goal that, for what, right? Like, why are you doing this? I think it's important to go to your life plan and look at what your goals are on a consistent basis and just do an analysis of, why is this important actually? And why do I have to keep on doing this? And I think oftentimes you'll find that certain things that probably served you in certain seasons are not really relevant in this season. Were they relevant? Are they relevant in general? Sure, maybe. Yeah. However, perhaps they're just not relevant in this season. So that is a little bit about, like the podcast too, right? Like, okay, not saying that it wasn't a relevant podcast. It was relevant. We had many great guests that came on, great topics that we spoke about. But when it came down to what was the most relevant thing for us at the stage of life back in May of 2021, it was kind of like, okay, there are other things that are taking priority right now. And this is still there and always, will be there for us to return to when it's a relevant season for it. So, yeah.
And I think even like making it, like bringing it into this season now, like as far as the podcast is concerned, I think like we're a little bit more settled, we're a little bit more relaxed, we have more bandwidth, we have more systems in place that we don't need to really be hands on. And so I think both of us are like natural born creators, like we want to create things, and we're having these conversations for hours at a time anyways.
Right.
So it's like in this season it was relevant to you to be like, hey, like, do you want to start creating this again? And for me the answer was, of course, like I'm down. I'm always down. And now we can kind of share some of the things that we've been learning or continuing to learn. And, it's relevant now, right? So just like it was relevant to take it off the list, sometimes it's relevant to put things back on the list, and being okay with the process of letting go and picking up back as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then time bound. Oh dear,
Time-bound, the
Father Time
T.
plays with none of us. And that's why the time bound piece, I think it's so fitting that it's the last one, because it really is humbling, right? I think adding that time piece of like, I want to do this by this day, it really forces you to put your whole heart and chest into whatever that goal might be, because time doesn't wait for you, right? Time doesn't wait for you to feel like it. Time doesn't wait for you to decide like, okay, I'm gonna commit. No, it's coming, whether you do it or not. So having that time piece, I'm going to be debt free by 30. Ooh, now that makes it a little bit more serious, because you got about 8 weeks left before you turn 30. So you got to make it happen. And that means that in other ways, you're going to have to get aggressive, because you realize, okay, my time window is shortening, right? So I have to actually prioritize this. I might have to actually make some sacrifices for this. What sacrifices am I willing to make, and what sacrifices am I not willing to make? But having that time kind of close the gap or close the loop of the goal really makes it real. It takes it from the mind and brings it into the world. So I love that piece. Time bound makes it real.
Well, that is a great rundown. And yeah, time bound is so important.
Yeah,
It's so important.
Real. It's so heavy.
Yeah. So applying the SMART criteria can really transform the goal setting process, right? It's about being clear. It's about being realistic. It's about being structured, right? And,
I feel like, so not to cut you off or to like interject, but like, first of all, I don't even think I said Happy New Year. Did we even say Happy New Year to the fam?
I don't even think we said Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. More lights. Thank God we have another new year. My days, like, what a gift, But I think being like, every day you set goals, right? Even if you realize it or don't realize it, this is an ongoing everyday process. So don't like feel like, oh, if I didn't do it on the 31st or the first week, then I'm doomed. It's like, no, you have to set goals, or you have the opportunity rather to set goals for your day. You have for your weeks, for your months, for the year. This is an ongoing process. So don't feel like it has to be this big thing. It's a daily thing.
Right. Amen.
Ha.
It's a daily thing. Daily subscription. So let's talk about
daily subscription. I love that.
Let's talk about, in relationship to the SMART goals. Let's talk about words of the year. So every single year, I know you have a word of the year. I have a word of the year. How does SMART apply to the word of the year?
I mean, yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. How does SMART apply to the word of this year? I think that the word of this year, I'm going to reserve, but the word of last year was integrity. And I think the way that I exercised my smarts around that was, okay, so I said I'm going to join a project and I'm going to fulfill X, Y, and Z of that project. The person to whom I promised I'm going to do this work, are they satisfied? Am I satisfied? Are we both satisfied? So there was a specific expectation. Did I meet it, right? And then as far as measuring, it's like, did I do my best? And are they pleased? Achievable, I don't say yes to projects I can't do. And then relevant, is this working towards my mission of helping healing in hearts, homes, and hoods, starting with my own? Yes, that's why I took the project, so it's relevant. And then the time-bound piece is, it's gonna get done by X date. or over the course of the year. And so there was a constant kind of re-engaging with the promise, which is what integrity for me is about doing what you say you're going to do and being what you say you are. And so every day or every time I engaged with the work, let's say with the example of the project, I'm going over I'm going over the irritations because you don't always want to do the goals that you've set, and remembering like, no, this is relevant to me. I made a promise. I'm measuring the fact that I'm a promise keeper, and so on and so on. So I feel like when I'm bringing it into this year, I'm going to just apply the same principles of remembering my why, remembering why I said yes and how capable I am of doing whatever it is I said yes to, and bringing that into the new year.
So good. So good. Yeah. Yeah.
And you, what about you?
So, for me, I'll share my word for this year. So my word this year is self discipline, right? Self discipline, and I think even having a system as to which we measure, as to which we specify, measure, you know, make sure that it's achievable, relevant, and time bound is key, you know, to being self-disciplined in general, because it's so easy to just say that you have a goal of being disciplined, right?
Right.
But by getting very specific about disciplined in what though, right? So there's a self-discipline, but there's layers to that. So disciplined in, you know, for me, it's going to be disciplined in financial management, disciplined in, you know, health, disciplined in spirituality, disciplined in all of the areas that keep me as balanced as possible, and disciplined in just like certain like administration stuff. I was gonna say academic administration things as well. So for me, how do I make sure that that's specific? It's to say in those areas, right? Without being too specific on the podcast right now, but like in those areas, having systems where, you know, I write it down to say, okay, in this area, how am I going to be specific? What is the specific action that I want to do to make sure that, you know, these are the goals that I want to accomplish in these specific areas as it pertains to self-discipline? And how do I make sure they're measured, right? By, okay, doing this many of the things that I say I want to do. If it's going to the gym, I want to be in the gym at least 3 days, you know, minimum for the week or whatever it is, right? And then, making sure that they're achievable by not taking on too much as I'm prone to doing, you know, taking on way too much way too soon, making sure that they're relevant. Why am I doing this? Why is this important? What is my why when it comes to these goals here? Am I just doing it because I think it's the cool thing to do, or it's the fad, or it's the in thing? Or am I doing it because there's an actual like outcome that I want to see from having these goals? And then making sure that they're time bound to say, okay, by when, by this date, by X date, I want to see the fruits of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So, yeah.
I love that. And sorry, I'm getting over a cold, guys. Forgive me. I would also want to add to what you said about, you know, being the type to kind of take on a lot and just want to do too much, is to also like consider, this is something that I'm doing as well, like considering feelings-based goals. Like, how do I want to feel in my days? How do I want to feel in my weeks and year? Because that might change some of the things that you think you are wanting to do. So for instance, like we're talking about, like, I want to be more fit, or I want to be healthier, I want to lose weight. So there's that one goal. And then you say, I want to feel free, I want to feel ease, I want to feel joy. Well, then that might not mean you're going to be going to the gym 6 days a week. That might mean you're going to be doing more walking, might mean you're going to be doing more Pilates. I'm just like here to preach the Pilates gospel. But I feel like when we also incorporate how we want to feel and who we want to be versus just what we want to do, there's a little bit more depth to the goals, and we're more likely to input for those outputs that you're talking about, because it's not just pen and paper, like super shallow. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just wanted to drop that little piece.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. So yeah, I mean, there's gonna be pitfalls, right?
Yeah.
There's gonna be pitfalls.
Oh my
right?
gosh. Every
And
day.
as we think about the goals that we want to set for the year,
Yeah.
I want to just remind the Insight fam that they can be big,
Yeah.
they can be small, but just make them meaningful, right? Make them meaningful. Make sure that they're meaningful to you. Because as those pitfalls come, tell us a little bit about the pitfalls, Jay. Like, tell us about the pitfalls.
I feel like what I'm gonna say about the pitfalls is be kind and gentle with yourself. That's what I'm gonna say.
Nice.
Lucky, you give the raw, but I'm gonna be sweet about it because I just know how much it's not sweet when you set goals and you don't reach those goals.
Right.
But I think one of the things that I've added to my goal list to kind of navigate that process of like doing too much and not doing enough at the same time is just like I have a goal of being kind to myself. I have a goal of having mercy on myself. I have a goal of treating myself the way God treats me. Like God does not beat me up if I don't reach every single thing or if I don't keep every single promise. He still loves me regardless. So it's like I want to be like that towards myself because there was a time, child. There was a time where if I'm not doing everything I said I'm going to do, okay, now you're going on a 5-day fast. It's like, whoa, that's not what you need to be doing. That's also not why you should be fasting. Like fasting is not a punishment, right? So I had this kind of reactive and punitive, really, relationship with me and my goals. And so my word is going to be, please be gentle with yourself because I promise you, you're more likely to get back up on the horse if you're kind to yourself than if you're beating yourself up because you fell off the horse. You're like, I don't want to get back up on that horse because it feels awful when I fall. But if it feels a little bit better when you fall, you'll get back up. So that's what I'm going to say about the pitfalls. But also, lucky there's reality pieces. So I would love for you to remind me of those too.
So yeah. And not even a but. And right?
And.
So like setting goals is one thing, right? But like
Yeah.
actually achieving them can be a whole different ball game, right? So
Right.
one major pitfall is setting goals that are too ambitious, right? And we spoke about it in that attainable, achievable piece right there, right? So it's like aiming to climb, Mount Everest, but you haven't even tackled a hill yet, right? So I'm very ambitious. We're both very ambitious, and ambition is great, but overreaching and overreaching can lead to some frustration, right? So
100%.
we want to encourage the Insight fam to find that sweet spot, right? Goals that challenge you but are still within reach, so that we can break them down into smaller and achievable steps, and then that can actually lead. What you realize is like, what's the 1-1 basket fill a cocoa, or 1-1 cocoa fill a basket? That's what it is, right? The proverb, the Jamaican proverb. By putting in a little and a little and a little and a little, eventually it fills your basket. You have a whole full basket because you have taken your time, and it's part of being kind to yourself as well. I'm back in the gym, and I wasn't away for a long time, right? But over the holiday season, I just took a break from the gym and stuff like that. And just by being back in the gym, I saw, because I have a tracker of how much weight I've lifted for each exercise or whatever. The last time I lifted, and I saw those numbers, and I was like, yeah, I'm not lifting that today, Bridget. Like, who? Like, I got to work my way. I worked my way up to that, and I haven't been here in a few weeks, so I'm not just gonna run back up in there and try to lift it. And then you know what I did? Let me just be completely transparent. So one of the exercises, I was doing the bench press or whatever, and it doesn't matter. I was doing a bench press, and I decided, you know what? I'm feeling good right now. I've warmed up. I did a few exercises already before this. Let me just go and let me match what I lifted the last time I lifted this, right? And I lifted it, and I was supposed to do 6 reps. I got about 3 of them up, and then by number 4, my buddy was like, "Nope,
No
you're not doing this. No mas," right? So I had to I had to throw the thing down on the floor, and people were looking at me in the gym, and they were like, "You good?" And I'm like, "I'm good, fam. I'm good. Like, get off of me. Like, leave me alone. I got this. Okay, I got this." But couldn't get it back up. I couldn't get the weights back up. And then I said to myself, "You knew this, so yo, be kind. Take time, right? Build yourself bars. You know, take time to build yourself back up to where you were at, so that you don't feel like you have to come back in here and be Hulk. You know, to do what? To improve who, right? So, anyways, yeah.
No, yeah, I love that. I think especially considering like sometimes that's just about ego and pride, right?
Exactly.
I used to do it, I should be able to do it now. And it's like, it's not that deep, 1, and 2, but you can't though. And that's okay. That's where the being kind part comes in. It's like, but you can't though, because if you could, you would, and you don't, you can't. So it's calm. Just make sure you're willing to do the work to get there.
Right.
And that's like the goal piece, or that's the accomplishing the goals piece, is just walking with yourself day after day. It can't be Friday if it's Monday. It's Monday. You got to get to Friday. So just take your time and get there versus trying to force it to come when it's not there yet. That's wisdom.
Wisdom. Yep. Yeah. Another big one is is just not having a clear plan.
Ooh.
You know what them say?
Ooh. My dad used to say.
Yeah, go ahead. What did your dad used to say?
My dad used to say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Amen?
Amen.
It's such a word because it's so true. You literally, your plan is failure if you decide not to plan. And that, I think, has been such an anchor in my walk. And it's one of the reasons I'm such an over planner, because I genuinely have seen the fruit of not planning, the fruit of planning, and they're very different fruit. Now, that's not to say that planning is a surefire insurance policy. I can't say that, because I've planned a lot of things that have not come to pass. But what I can say is having no plan is the worst plan.
Right.
Yeah. So that's my.
Yeah. And a goal without a plan is just wishful thinking.
That's right.
Right? So, you need a roadmap to guide you from where you are to where you want to be. All right? And you got to track that progress, because it's so easy to lose sight of your achievements if you don't keep track. So whether that's a journal, that's an app, I love my apps, right?
I love journal.
A good old-fashioned checklist. Just find whatever works for you, right? And track that progress, right?
Yep. I as part of I think goal setting and keeping and management that's life. I think that's what it is to do life and to live a good life, is to make decisions, make goals, reach those things that you've decided you want for your life. And so I'm a avid journalist, as it were. I think that is the most tangible and affordable, quite frankly, way to keep it out of your mind and into the world. And then also having the accountability of people. Lucky is one of my chief accountability officers. I have sisters too that keep me in check when I say, yo, I said I want to do X. If you don't hear from me about this by X date, I need a bat up. I need you to do something. I need you to yell at me, whatever the case may be. So making sure that you have those soldiers in your corner too that can help you, because it's easy to keep it in here and keep it in prayer, but God's always gonna forgive you, right? God's never gonna love you less. But your people, they'll rate you less. And there's a social pressure that I want, whereby if I tell Lucky I'm gonna do XYZ, I want him to know that I did XYZ, to my point about integrity last year. So yeah, like leverage your community too.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. And change your habits then.
Oh wow.
Change
Tell me more.
the
Say
daily
more.
habits them, right? Like your daily habits need to support your goals. Need to. We speak about this all the time, Jordyn, about people that say that they want to do certain things, but the habits are not in alignment, right? So like that's the next pitfall. If you have a goal, you have a plan, you have a whatever it is that you want to do, and you want to be a certain type of person, you want to wake up early, you want to whatever, like you have to change the habit. So you can't be waking up early, but then you're going to bed at 3 a.m., right? Because you're going to bed when you should be waking up, right? So changing those daily habits. If you're trying to run a marathon, right? What's the regular training that you need to become, you know, to become part of your routine, right? You can't be wanting to run a marathon and be at McDonald's, having diet at McDonald's, right? So, what's those daily habit pieces, which is going to play into whatever it is that your goals are this year. So if you're really serious about whatever it is that you want to do this year, what your goals are for this year, I want you to also analyze and take an assessment, a regular assessment, a regular inventory of your daily habits. And are your daily habits in alignment with who you say you want to be, what you say you want to do?
That part, who you say you want to be, that's so key.
Right.
That part is so key. Yeah, daily habits too. I think they get underlooked because sometimes we don't realize that it's a daily habit. We just because we're on autopilot, and we don't realize that we have a habit of checking our phone first thing in the morning, getting swallowed by the the scroll universe. We don't realize that's a habit, and why that's tricky is because we don't realize that that's an input that's gonna have an output that we probably don't want, because that's a habit we don't want. So taking the time to really assess, what am I doing every day on purpose or not on purpose? And how is it helping me become the person that I want to be? I don't want to be, some people want to be a social media maven. That's not my testimony. I don't want to be a social media maven. So why would I be on social media like that, right? I want to be X, Y, and Z. So that means I should probably be waking up and doing my Pilates. Hello, and it's crazy how fast you lose time with habits you don't notice. Yo, like I caught myself one time on the Instagram for 25 minutes.
On the Instagram, folks. On the Instagram.
It is a well-known fact that I'm actually 85 years old. Everybody who knows me knows I'm actually 85, and I'm just pretending. But anyhow, caught myself on Instagram for 25 whole minutes, and it chunked me I chunked the time because I chunked time in Pilates. So I'm like, a 30 minutes Pilates session, I missed out on the chance to do a Pilates session. What did I gain out of this Instagram binge other than a couple good laughs? I'm not gonna lie, I did get a couple good belly laughs, and I probably sent them to you, Lucky. But still, the point is I could have been doing something way more productive with my time, and it was a habit. It wasn't really a habit, but it was a moment that could have turned into a habit, and that I didn't know that was the investment I was making. So just being kind of an auditor of what are your habits and how can you change those.
Amen.
Or improve them.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. So what are your habits? What are your habits? What is your habit saying? Because what you do on a daily basis is what you end up becoming, right?
Yeah.
What you end up becoming. So.
And there's so many beautiful habits, right? Like, I'm a walker. We could walk. Skincare regime, hair care regime.
Exactly.
Exactly. Moisturization. There's so many things that you can do that can become. Yo, my shea butter whip is not to be trifled with. It's a whole thing. And it brings me so much joy. There's aromatherapy happening. Like, I'm soft. Like, it's such a lovely experience.
Yeah.
These are habits. And they participate in making me the type of person that I am, and I really like that. So I would love to have new or more or greater habits, and I'd love to get rid of the habits that make me things I don't want to be, like impatient and annoyed because I'm seeing something online that I'm like, I didn't even sign up for this, and now I'm irritated.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I walk past that Cinnabon store this year,
It's always a cinnamon for Lucky.
I'm gonna say,
I'm not that type of a person. I am different.
You could literally be like,
I am a different person. I am not that type of person.
I found a new life. Anybody asks me.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Right.
I think even if you like, I was having this conversation with a friend of mine too that was like, oh, I can't afford that. I was like, or perhaps you're the type of person who would prefer to spend their money elsewhere.
Amen.
Because to say you can't afford it is cap because you could afford it. You just don't want to buy it. You don't value it. You value your rent. You value your car. Like there's so many things. Don't say you can't afford it. And so similarly, it's like I'm the type of person who enjoys Cinnabon, but has the self-discipline to leave it on the table for more times than I pick it up. That's all.
Yeah.
Takes away some of the weight or intensity of like, like I think we have like this intensity. I was a very intense person. I'm still pretty intense, but like I had very hard grips on my goals. Like it's like, you know, all or nothing.
All or
and
nothing.
That just makes reaching the goal less flowy and more I don't want to say restricted because it's against what I'm saying, but do you know what I mean? Like it makes it less flowy, and I would like things to be flowy. So if we make an identity around like I just said no because I don't want to, it's not that deep.
Right.
Versus like I can't.
Right.
You know, changes the energy of it.
Exactly. Well, let's quickly talk about motivation as well, right? So it's normal for enthusiasm to wane, you know, as time goes by. So the key is to just keep reminding yourself of why you set that goal in the first place. Visualize the outcome and celebrate the small wins along the way.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you do, like I said, if you do hit a snag, you just don't beat yourself up about it. Please,
Exactly.
I beg. It's not that deep. You know, just adjust your plan, learn from whatever mistake or setback you had, and keep moving. Like keep pushing forward. The race is won to the supple. I can't remember something to that point, but you know, like you gotta bend and not break kind of thing. And the more supple you are, the more flexible, malleable, forgiving you are, the better. And the harder positions you can find yourself in too, because it's not that deep.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So we are gonna have these moments where it's not just a dialogue or a conversation between Jordyn and Luckystickz, but we're also inviting the Inside Fam to join the conversation. So we had the opportunity to reach out to some of the fam from before and just let them know what was good, and we wanted to hear some stories, right? This is the part of the show where we're really excited about hearing directly from our Insight fam. We've got some incredible stories and questions that are lined up for the last few minutes as we wrap up this episode. So let's find out. So Jordyn, who's the first story?
Okie dokie. Yes. Okay. So first up, we have a story from Coretta. So she set a goal last year to start a small business, and despite numerous challenges, she managed to launch it and even turn a profit. Here's what she's shared. Should I read it or you want to read it, Lucky?
Yeah, you can read it.
Okay. Okay. So last year I decided to turn my passion for baking into a business. The dream was to open my own bakery, but the road to get there was full of obstacles. I had limited funds, no real experience running a business, and the pandemic was still affecting local businesses. Despite this, I started small, selling homemade cakes and cookies online. Okay. I worked late nights, learned about marketing, finance, and customer service on the go. There were times I thought about giving up, especially when a big order fell through or when I struggled to balance my day job with the bakery. But slowly, word of my bakery began to spread. I started getting more orders, and people love my recipes. 6 months in, I was able to quit my job. Wow, 6 months. I was able to quit my day job and focus on the bakery full time. And just last month, I achieved my biggest milestone yet. I opened a small storefront. Wow. It's been a tough journey, but seeing my dreams materialize is incredibly fulfilling. And the best part, we've started turning a profit, which seemed like a distant dream a year ago. This journey taught me that with hard work, persistence, and a bit of creativity, you can overcome challenges and achieve your goals. Wow.
Wow. So that's inspiring. Congratulations, Coretta.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your
Wow,
story.
that's
It's
incredible.
just amazing to see how dedication and passion can turn a dream into a successful reality. And it just goes to show that with perseverance and hard work, even the biggest challenges can be overcome, you know?
Amen. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
next we have Alex. Alex had a goal to improve his fitness. Let's listen to this remarkable transformation. So Alex said, this time last year, I was at a point in my life where I felt really out of shape. I was always tired and my health wasn't where I wanted it to be. So I set a goal to improve my fitness. It started with small changes, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, going for short jogs, and gradually cutting out junk food from my diet. In the beginning, it was tough. I struggled to run even a quarter of a mile, and resisting my favorite snacks was a real test of willpower. But I kept at it, setting incremental targets each week. And what really helped was tracking my progress. We spoke about that, right? Seeing improvements, no matter how small, gave me a huge boost. Fast forward to today, and I've run my first half marathon. I've lost 30 pounds and my energy levels have skyrocketed. I've even started exploring healthier recipes and even discovered a love for cooking. This journey has transformed not just my body, but my entire outlook on life. Amen. It showed me that with consistency and a bit of self-discipline, you can exceed your own expectations. Wow. Big up, Alex. Congratulations to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those small consistent changes, we spoke about it, right? They lead to amazing results. So Alex's story is really a testament to the power of just setting realistic goals and sticking to them, no matter how challenging they seem at first.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I think, it's a matter of dedication. So it's lovely to kind of see those fruit, yeah? But let us switch gears to our Q&A. Our first question is from Julian, who asks, how do you stay motivated when your goal seems so far away? That's a really good question.
That's a great question. This is a great question. For me, it's just about celebrating the small milestones along the way. And it's important to recognize and appreciate the progress that you're making, no matter how small they are, right? And that they're gonna compound anyways. What about you?
For real.
Yeah,
No, I completely agree. I think also revisiting your why, getting back to your why is always gonna help you and can reignite that initial spark and just remind you why. You know, it can be a really powerful motivator because we're all working towards something in life, right? So
definitely.
Getting back to the seed helps.
Thank you, Julian. Our next question is from Andrew. Andrew is asking, how do you handle setbacks when working towards a goal? That's another excellent question, and Andrew.
I mean, setbacks are part of the journey. It's all part of the game. But like I do like to see them as opportunities, learning lessons instead of failures. So setups versus setbacks. So adjusting the strategy and really kind of keeping the end goal in sight. When you're reframing whatever that quote setback is, it helps you kind of leap forward and get there. How about you, Lucky?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Sometimes taking a step back is, the ability to just reassess and possibly just set more realistic mini goals that can help get you back on track.
True. Well said. But before we wrap up, I think we have time for one more question, do we?
Yep.
Yeah. This one's from Brandon. How do you balance multiple goals without getting overwhelmed? I have not figured that out, so Lucky, please. Go right ahead. My middle name is overwhelmed.
Balance is key, for sure. Balance is key. I have so many systems, so many calendars, wall calendars, apps, so many different things. But prioritizing your goals and focus on one or two at a time, right? Spreading yourself too thin is just counterproductive, and it's really about the quality and not the quantity in your goal setting.
I love that. I know that's right. Keep the list short. I love a long list, but let's keep it short. That's helpful. I think for me, navigating overwhelm, because I haven't been able to get rid of it. I like to do a lot, so I naturally am feeling often overwhelmed. But I think nursing my overwhelm comes down to my self-care practices. Again, I do my Pilates, I have my prayer, I do my cooking, and I eat well. And that helps me feel like I have some control over something, and I just really pour into that, and that gives me the energy I need to navigate overwhelm rather than thinking that I'm going to get rid of it, because it's been a long time and it's still here. So, yeah, that's kind of what works for me.
Yeah, and rest. Allocate time for rest. I'm bad at that, but I did read the book Rest is Resistance. That would be the book recommendation of today. Rest
That's the book recommendation
is Resistance. Yeah, sure. For that little part there.
Yeah.
And check that book out and let me know what you think. And I'm still working on it. I haven't mastered it. I'm not preaching the gospel of it. I'm just saying that that's something that is important when it comes to that recharge, right?
No, that's right.
Well, that brings us to the end of our Insight Fam segment. We've loved hearing your stories and answering your questions as well. It's been truly inspiring. Listen, the conversation doesn't stop here. We always love to hear from our Insight Fam. So send us a message in our DMs, leave a comment, or email us at letmefindouthowyoufounout@gmail.com to join the conversation. And as we come to the close of today's episode, it's been an incredible journey through the stories of setting and achieving goals, from Coretta's entrepreneurial spirit to Alex's fitness transformation. We've seen how goals can just truly reshape our lives.
Absolutely. And these stories aren't just inspiring too, they're powerful. They remind us, what we can achieve if we really put our minds and our hearts into it. So whether that's starting a new business or improving your health or any other personal milestone, the journey towards these goals is filled with learning and growth.
Yeah, and let's not forget the invaluable insights we discussed earlier about setting smart goals and the common pitfalls that can happen or that can come up. It's clear that a well-planned approach combined with determination can lead to amazing results.
Yes. And to our Insight Fam, remember your goals are personal to you. They're your dreams, your aspirations, so don't be afraid to aim high, but also just be kind and gentle with yourself and embrace the journey with all the setbacks and setups that are part of it.
As we step into this new year, let's just carry the spirit of discovery and perseverance. Let's be curious. Yes, let's be resilient. Let's support each other in our quest to achieve our goals.
Amen. And don't forget that we're here with you on this journey. Let Me Find Out How You Found Out is not just a podcast, it's a community. We're a family, and we're all part of the Insight Fam, engaged in uncovering and understanding new information and perspectives by exploring and growing together.
Yeah, so keep sharing your stories with us. Ask questions. Engage with the community, right? Together, we're going to continue to find out how.
I love that. And as we sign off, take a moment to reflect on your goals for this year. What will you find out about yourself as you work towards them? We can't wait to hear about it.
Thank you for tuning in, Insight Fam. Thank you for tuning in to Let Me Find Out How You Found Out. We will be back with more inspiring content, more discoveries, and of course, more stories. Until then, keep finding out and keep moving forward. I'm Luckystickz.
And I'm Jordyn. Here's to a year of growth and discovery and achieving our milestones. Stay cute, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next episode where we talk about digital detox, the impact of social media on mental health. Bye for now.
Bye for now.